Hi everybody. It's been a couple years since I've done a video on XX620, so I figured I'd just do a quick update on it. I get a number of questions, at the air shows and stuff like that. So I had a thank you, quick update on myself, questions I get, and then just a quick update on the plane. Uh, so first of all, I wanted to start with a thank you. Thank you to Cheryl Green and Tony Green here in the U.S., who has all the parts for the Bulldogs and helps keep this whole group flying. So thank you, Cheryl. We really appreciate it. Second thing I wanted to do is, I get asked a lot, how did you become aware of the Bulldog or your interest, etc. And I thought I'd just make a quick note on that. So I've owned the Bulldog now for a decade. But if you go back, my father was an enlisted air crewman in the U.S. Navy sub-hunter fleet. So he did P2s and P3s, so he was an enlisted air crewman. Then he learned to fly at the same time at the Navy Flight Club in Willow Grove Naval Air Station, which is outside of Philadelphia in the U.S. So then I spent my whole life growing up as a kid in a plane. Fast forward, I was doing my license in Dallas, Texas when I was about 27 or 28, and then I got transferred to London for business for 5 years. And so I stopped about midway in the U.S. and went over to London. And long story short, I ended up doing my entire start to finish UK license at Wickham Air Center. And you can see this is still the, this was issued probably 97 or 98 or something like that. But it's the CAA license booklet and everything that everybody used to get back then. So I officially have a UK, CAA at the time, license, and then my FAA license is based on this. So my FAA license has on the back that this has to be with my US license to make it valid. So I ended up doing my private pilot's license at Wickham Air Center, which was phenomenal because most people do the opposite. Most people leave Europe and then come to the US, and it was a great experience. And I do want one quick note on that, and I think the UK guys and girls will appreciate it. But when I was doing my test, Dickie Bird, who was at Wickham Air Center, was the inspector pilot, or the person that gave everybody their test. So I jump in, one of the little 172s there at Wickham at Booker Field, and Dickie hops in the seat, puts on his white RAF gloves, and looks at me and goes, "Yank, are you ready for this?" Which I thought was great. And I believe Dickie flew Vulcans, and then I even think he flew the Concorde for a little bit, if I remember correctly. But phenomenal group of people, and loved it. I learned so much. QNH, QFE, just flying in weather and short runways and stuff like that. So all that. So thank you. A little bit about me, and obviously these were all in service. I was in London from January of '96 to late '01, and so these were all coming out of service in, I believe, 2000 and 2002 or whatever, and I almost brought one back, but decided not to. And then I owned another plane for a long time, and then 10, 11, or a decade ago or so, I finally said I have to get one, and that's where I looked for a number of years and finally found this one that I really liked and everything. So, but I knew of these when they were in service, as I would fly out of Wickham down to Sandown or over Portsmouth or out west or up into the Midlands or whatever. I saw them at the different university air squadrons and everything. So a little bit about me. All right. So on the plane, I'll walk around here in a second. But so this was produced in '74, so it went into service in '74 and came out of service in '01 or '02. I think in '01, I believe it is. And it has about 9,000 hours on it. So I'm going to walk around the plane. Okay, and you can see with XX620, you can see the sticker there. So this particular plane was in service for 27 years. 20 of those were at Church Fenton, and 7 of those were at Fittingly. And it was actually I guess a T1 at Church Fenton for, I believe, most of those 20 years at Church Fenton. And then it was in the Yorkshire University Air Squadrons, I would assume probably at Fittingly and or, you know, however they worked that out. But so this is basically, you know, Yorkshire University Air Squadron, or T1, if you will, out of Church Fenton. And so I guess from a standpoint of bigger stuff that I've done over the last decade is let me get my screen going there. Yep. So I, about 2-3 years ago, overhauled the governor, put a new overhauled prop, and overhauled the engine. So I probably have, I don't know, 150, 200 hours on the engine on this thing. I think interesting safety and how strong these planes are is, if you can see the difference, hopefully with the sun, but I basically went through a group of Hawks here in the US, about 4 or 5 of them, and one of them came over the main wing here and went right here, and you can see this little rib and spar and everything, and it cut all the way back to this intersection here. It cut the aluminum and everything. So I didn't even know it until I landed. It was an air show event, until a kid walked up and said, "Hey, mister, you have a feather in your plane." So you can see here, what, I guess a year ago or so, we had to go to Cheryl and we pulled this off of another RAF airframe, and then I had it painted, and then we had to replace the whole thing. But bigger picture, the plane is just rock solid, right? I you know, it cut a big aluminum chunk out of it, and you couldn't even feel it or anything. And it's just a testament to the build, if you will. And then I guess the only other thing, I guess, on the outside is really, you can see the paint's getting a little rough. So I'm gonna probably, hopefully, paint it in 2024 or 2025, if you will. Got to save up for that, if you will. So, and I'll show you what we've done in the cockpit. I don't know if it's going to show up that great with the lighting, but you can see, you know, standard RAF, and in the US you can see they're only experimental registry, but you can see we've put in I put in some new stuff into the panel. So let's see once I come up. So this is a Garmin G5 that I put in, and then this is a Garmin. This is a Garmin G5, and that's a Garmin 355. So it's really in a sense, it's the Garmin 650 without the nav radio. So this is IFR, you know, navigator without, it has a comm but no nav radio. And then this is a comm. I use that as my comm radio. And then this is a VOR ILS older glide slope that still works fine. And then you can see I have the Garmin transponder in there. And then if I could show you this, I'll show you with the experimental. I can run the experimental ones in the US. I can fly with this, or I can fly with the HSI. In the experimentals, I can do both. So normally I left in the vacuum artificial horizon because I like that, the old steam gauges, and then I fly with the HSI. But you can, if I need to, fly with that, and then that has a 3-hour backup battery back here, if you will, just in case you run if you lose the alternator or anything else. So I've got a Shaden, we got a Shaden fuel flow here. I've got just a basic analog cylinder head temperature over there. Everything else is pretty standard. You can see here, but yeah, so it's worked really, really well, if you will. So let me shut this off. And I think that's really about it. So that's a quick update, a quick thank you, quick update on me, and a quick update on 6620. And I'm going to try to keep it as long as I can, and see if we can just keep flying for a while. So thanks everybody, and just also a cheers and a hello to everybody in the UK, because it's a privilege and an honor to own one of these, and I take it very seriously, and I enjoy meeting the folks from the UK when I meet them at shows and everything. So I treat it as well as I can in light of the people that flew this long before me in the RAF. So thank you.